already. We're live. We're live.
But
Hello,
our
everyone.
anniversary.
Yes. Happy anniversary, Serena.
Happy anniversary, Tanya. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys, you wondering what anniversary we're talking about? Well, it was exactly on the 6th of June, but in 2020 that we had our first live show together and where really everything started, but it seems like it's been our entire lifetime.
That is how time is weird because it really, genuinely, I feel like I've known you forever.
Right. And we have. That's the
Well,
whole thing. So once we get past this time kind of idea, because time is just an idea,
yes,
then
it
it
is.
it it, it just woo. And so I'm really happy. And the 6th of the 6th is a really relevant
Yeah.
um portal in a sense. Energetically, numerologically, it represents Venus, it represents love. So
Mhm.
that was the day we united more consciously of each other in
Yes.
this lifetime.
Two humans coming together
Yeah.
to finish something and create something new.
Right. And so now it's like, oh my God, it all starts in a new way each and every single day. Each and every single day. It's not like,
Yes.
okay, now it's all done and we're in a comfort zone and we know all about everything. And no, it's totally the opposite. We know nothing about this new life. We know we can't know about this new life
Yeah.
in advance. The only thing we can do is be immersed in it.
And that's where the trust comes in, Tanya. I've been thinking about the workshop I'm doing this weekend, and I say it over and over again to the clients that I work with. I didn't know this world existed until I met Norma. I lived in that world of fear and duality where I had to control every waking moment. I had to have a plan. I had to know how to survive. And now it's, I don't know. We don't know what we're going to talk about today. Isn't
We
that
have no
fun?
idea. The funny thing, I got this insight earlier on, and I was like, "Oh, that's something I'd like to talk about." You think I remember? I have no idea what the hell
No.
it was.
That is so funny. I
Anyway,
know.
whatever.
It will flow the way it's supposed to. But when you have this level of trust in your life, it literally allows all of the old energy to unravel in the physicality of who we are. That's the miracle is, I work with these people and they're like, I don't have a memory. And I go, that's okay. We don't need to have a memory. Breathe with me. And it's like this journey, like walking down the yellow brick road, except we don't know where we're going, not even to the Emerald City.
Hmm.
And that level of
But
trust,
knowing that we're going, or
yeah,
basically that we are, knowing that we are
yes,
in each moment of wholeness, that nothing is amiss because
right,
we just are there on that path, on that journey that basically is, sorry to say this, a never ending journey, folks. It really is not like you reach a finish line and there's like this gold medal or whatever, and then okay, now the journey is over. No, 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 no. But the thing is the quality of the journey, the
yes,
experiences along the journey, the scent, the fragrances, the aromas, the colors, everything changes depending on the consciousness that we are infusing into the journey. So that is what changes. And for sure, yes, once we reach a certain state of consciousness, we cannot go back to a previous state of consciousness, just because if you picture this like this, now, like when a dam is made,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this whole body of water that covers the entire space that previously were forests and villages and all of these things will never exist again, because now they are covered with this huge body of water that has expanded throughout the land and become something else. And so the same thing happens with consciousness. Once the ocean of consciousness that we are starts spilling out each consecutive border, because we create borders within consciousness in order to manage,
To make
and
us
so
safe. Yeah, to
yeah,
make us feel
exactly.
safe.
So, and as we throw those borders down on and on and on and on, and this ocean of consciousness becomes so much more vast, and then we cannot figure out where it ends, because then it becomes infinite. We don't see the borders anymore, they're not there anymore. What happens is it's really impossible to put the borders back up, because the
Mm-hmm.
body of consciousness, that expanded ocean, is just too large to contain. So once we spill out of the borders, there's no going back. There's no way that we could be experiencing limitations or fears or whatever the way we were experiencing them before. Now, sometimes along the journey we come up against a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
It happens, and then you can experience it as a limitation or as an invitation. And this for me is what is key, is how I choose to perceive that brick wall that has
Yes.
shown up there for some reason. I can see it as an invitation and experience that in a new way, different from the previous way of experiencing brick walls. Or I can just go and try and break it down, and break my skin, and get all huffed and puffed around the brick wall. So basically that's what changes. It doesn't mean that there aren't challenges that show up in the way. What it means is that the way the ocean of consciousness embraces those challenges does not um, bring us into limitation. So we don't see the challenges as limitations, but invitations.
Yes. And so I'm going to say it a different way, because
That's it.
it's exactly
Oh,
that. But what I experience is I'll feel like a little bit in my stomach, and I'll go, oh. So I respond differently to the little indicator. Oh, look it, I'm afraid to move my boundary even more. Oh, so I breathe with it from a place of compassion. I don't even go into judgment anymore. I don't need to. So it's not that life doesn't hand us hurdles. It does. That's reality. But how do I respond to it? And for years, Norma would say, are you going to react or respond ably? And I would go, I don't know. Because I honestly it was like she spoke a foreign language. I was over here saying, I have to, I should, I must, I've got to get it. And she would smile and she would say, how about we do it differently? So that language now has become mine. And so when I work with clients and they're like, well, I've got to figure this out. All right, what's the matter with me? And I listen and I understand,
yeah.
my heart fills with such joy, because each experience, I had a blowout with one of my sons, which was really unexpected. And I didn't even go into judgment. I breathed and I sat with it. And I really stayed with it for a bit. And then I was able to come back and go, hey, you know what? I wasn't able to hear you. I didn't need to make him wrong or me wrong. It was, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, sweetie. Life is like a whole different experience. When we talk about living in duality, the have to, the must, the should, figure it out, have control is duality. Living from this other place is allowing, having no plan, being in the moment. When we come across a boulder in our path, how are we going to handle it? Are we going to climb over the boulder, walk around it, dig a hole and climb under it? But whatever we choose to do, it's not wrong. This is the magic of living in a place of compassionate love with self from higher consciousness, not from fear. And so I always invite my clients, take a breath. You're doing great. You know, it wasn't instantaneous for me. It was years and years of practicing this new way. It was years for you, Tanya. It wasn't an instantaneous, oh, I get it.
Totally not.
God, no. But every day I chose to breathe. Every day I chose to pay attention to what I was doing and feeling and thinking and reacting to. And every day I made a new choice. And that's what matters. That's the key.
I remember the time when I was going through my
pop you big and make
wait
me
a minute.
small.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I remember when I was going through the hardest bits of my integration, and in this case, facing my darkness, so to speak. I would always, because Norma was my example, so I would always just take a deep breath and feel what would Norma, in her profound compassion, do in this moment. And so I would connect through this, for me, this example of compassion. I then would immediately be able to connect to compassion within myself and get the answer. It made it so much easier. So I would say, for anyone out there, if you find it hard sometimes, find a way, whatever way works for you, to connect to compassion, because only compassion can show the way through. Otherwise, there will always be these judgments wanting to jump in the way and wanting attention, and wanting to create distraction, and wanting us to go into fear, because the fear is only serving the purpose of protection. It's only trying to keep us safe. It's not something that's wrong, because it's part of being a human being. Now, the thing is, as this ocean of consciousness expands and we allow it to flow out of any borders, that is compassion. And compassion removes the barriers that keep us short-sighted.
Yes.
And so that's how it works. It's just allowing ourselves a larger perspective, a perspective that we don't know in the moment a situation occurs, and that we're not worried that we don't know, because we know that we know whatever we need to know whenever the situation is before us.
Yeah.
So I used to use that a lot to connect. For me, it was easy because Norma represented compassion for me.
Oh, yes.
So I used to, I used to take a deep breath. Okay, what would Norma do in this situation? And I would connect with that compassion. That's what helped me along the way. I'm sure each one will find their own creative way of coming into compassion. But the important thing is the moment there is fear and judgment and rejection and so on, there's no point going on that track because it leads to nowhere. It's a dead
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Always being finding a way of shifting our attention back into compassion so that we can then move on and discover, what is this like? How am I going to travel this piece of my journey? What is here that I am not seeing? I discover over and over again that there is always much more available in my immediate environment than meets the eye at first glance. But for me to be aware of all of that which is available to me, I have to stop and realize it, right? So it's not about rushing and getting all, wanting to do things
That's
in
the
a
key, though.
rush.
Stop. When you said stop, that's the key, isn't it, Tanya?
Yes.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's such an
Go
important
ahead.
piece of it.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Stop.
because we as human beings are trained ignore it, push it away, grit our teeth, pull
And move
ourselves up
on.
by our bootstraps and move on. But that's this. That's this. That's this energy that keeps us bottled up in such pain. It's back assward. I'm sorry to say it, but it is. It's backwards to, okay, I'm not going to run. This is here. And many times, even though I literally lived with Norma, I had her in my life day in and day out, compassion was hard for me to access, to feel, because my judgment of myself was huge. My hatred
Yeah.
it
The
was huge.
self-worth.
Yes. And because I was so dissociative, and Norma and her wisdom started me seeing Godmother, who was so beautiful. And I was so little emotionally and mentally. And she radiated. What I didn't know is she was my soul. She was Kuan Yin in this form. And Norma would say, put your soul's glasses on and look through them. See it from her perspective so your heart can open just a little bit more and you're not in judgment of yourself. Because this judgment is exhausting.
It's a sucker. Yeah.
In compassion, it has layers to it
Of yumminess.
that's the word, yumminess. It really is, because it's like, it's so all encompassing. No matter what a human has done, thought, participated in, no matter, this compassion comes in if the human opens the door to it and literally heals the body, the mind, everything. It's beyond what a human mind can grasp what compassion is.
Yes. But I found a really interesting thing lately, which is that actually, so the only way for us to connect to compassion and to allow it is through this sweet surrender to our soul and to wearing those glasses more and more and more until they become our normal vision.
Yes.
And then it flips over. So what I find happens is that then it's the human facet's turn to really embody compassion, not necessarily as soul and human, but the human part of this existence to become that compassion as well, in the sense that the human then takes full responsibility as well for having rejected soul, for having rejected the vision of its divine nature, for having rejected simplicity, for having rejected flow, for having rejected trust, for all of those things. Once that is something the human needs to come
Mhm.
to terms with
Yes.
and to really fully accept. Oh, I was the one who rejected all of this because it's been there all along, because our essence, our whatever we want to call it, soul, whatever, is permanently that.
Mhm.
But in order to be able to experience separation, duality, and then suffering, pain, and all of those things, which are part of possible experiences, and Earth is all about what is possible. So, what is possible in physical form? What kind of things can I experience? And in
Mhm.
order to go through that kind of experience, then the human had to accept itself in separation and had to maintain that separation as the only truth.
Yes.
And that is okay, because otherwise all of that which has happened would not have happened and would not have expanded compassion the way it has. Really an
Uh-oh. Well, we lost Tanya for a minute. Hopefully she'll come back. Well, we've never had this one happen before. So I'll keep talking. And when she says the human must accept, I had to accept how much I loved the experience of being numb, of fighting, not from judgment, but I loved it. So I'm going to type, we lost you, Tanya. Okay, here she comes. Hopefully. So if you can make peace with it's okay that I love to be numb, love in present moment, it's part of making peace, being in truth. I love to fight because only when you accept the truth can an authentic shift occur within your body. Then and only then can you surrender your self absorption. Hello, Tanya. I started to talk
Yay!
and pick up where you left off
Go ahead. Go ahead.
because I have gnats in my house at times. So that's when I go like this, you'll know I'm just batting a gnat. I was speaking about when you accept the truth. I love to fight. I love to be numb. I love the energy of fear. That's part of the evolvement. If you are in resistance to the truth, how can something change?
Yeah.
I would always say, soul, if you really want me to shift this, you're going to have to keep helping me with this. Fill me with a passion to not fight because my every breath was fight. So now if you want to pick up where you were.
Okay, so thank you. Even the internet connection went bonkers with this thing that I am affirming, because what I am affirming is that because and as a consequence of everything that has been lived on earth, and everyone knows how challenging earth is and has been for a long, long time, right? Well, we see it as a long time, but it isn't. Anyway, because and as a consequence of all of this duality, separation, etc., etc., compassion has expanded
Yeah.
beyond what it ever was before.
Yes.
And that, my dear beloved friends, is because of the human.
Yes.
It's because the human facet has allowed itself to get so lost, and so forgetful of its true nature that it could take this experience beyond any conceivable boundaries. And Serena, you are a living example of that. You lived stuff that is beyond any conceivable boundaries of darkness in this sense. And so we've taken it to the furthermost limits of whatever you want to call it. But the point is that has caused compassion to become tangible to
Yeah,
the
can I
human
interrupt and say,
facet.
let me
Please
say
go
one
ahead.
piece. So when you said brought it to the limits, what that was as the humans that were choosing to awaken, to have compassion, breathed into that dark space with the compassion, that's what allowed things to shift. So you and I and Norma and so many people on this journey made the choice to breathe into the darkness with the compassion, which allowed it to get bigger. That's what I'm just getting Yeshua when he came in 2015 to Norma and I. You have broken the veil on man's unconsciousness because of this very exact thing. Breathe,
Exactly.
breathing into the face of the nightmare that I lived, participated in, and experienced without any judgment. That was the
Right.
magic. That was the
That's the
magic.
magic. And that is what allowed now for Heaven's Cross that everyone is
Mhm.
so like on about, as I would say. It's because we have come to a point in human awareness that has allowed the human to realize compassion.
Yes.
So it is not only now, of course, it is through divine indication, through wisdom, through our soul, that we can walk the path of compassion. And then the human becomes
Uh oh. The source of love, empowerment, divine being in flesh. So, again, this energy that we're speaking of is scaring this mind energy. And that's okay. So, hold a space with me and breathe. For we as divine beings are so much more than what you can imagine. I just tried to finish your sentence knowing you'd come back. This is really, see, it scares the human element. It scares that mass consciousness because we are
yeah, we're
poking at
throwing
it.
stones in the pool and it's creating
Yes.
ripples that are affecting the internet connection.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay
Yeah.
because part of us, for years, forever, people have said, oh, yes, I know I'm God. I'm a part of God, blah, blah, blah. And they just repeated the words, but there's been no conscious connection to, I am a divine human being in flesh. I am the fullness of who I am. This journey allows us to expand that consciousness so it can move out and go around the planet so that we, as human beings of consciousness, can join our light energy together to make conscious changes on this planet, consciously help others to step up to their divinity, discover it in ways that you and I don't even have an idea in this moment, and yet we're shown day in and day out, day in and day out. You know, it's, I mean, my boss who just had shoulder surgery, I sent her a text just to see how she was feeling. And I said, I hope that you take care of you and that you don't race back to work because you believe your job is more important. And she said, oh, you really know me? And I said, no, I know myself, which allows me to know you. And I said, well, this would be a really good time for you to read my book. Because I see her clutched in the energy of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, that's a great idea, which I was really surprised that she would respond that way. And she bought it that day.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, you and I, we get to be this light demonstration of showing people what it's like to live in a new way. That's what Norma was to me that very first time.
And to me, yeah.
When I showed up on her doorstep on March 29th, 1996, and she opened the door and I looked at her and I was just like gobsmacked, because it wasn't just this that saw a beautiful human being. I sensed a radiance emanating from her that touched me at a core level despite the switching. And that is profound, because that's what we do, Tanya, you and I.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, I noticed, and the other day, for instance, I went to take care of some legal stuff. And when I arrived, and I went with Joanna, and then she was sitting right behind me, and I sat in front of the guy that called me to take care of these papers. And he was like, you know, in that mood, like, oh gosh, another day here in the office. And well, after just like a few minutes, he just started smiling and responding so openly. And then the whole interaction was just really so special. And he wished us a lot of good luck, because we were taking care of something that all of you will know about really soon. But and so then and he was smiling and his face lit up. So I noticed and realized that, you know, many people have this concern that if they take care of themselves and so on, that they're not taking care of others, and then all of that stuff. And also this concern about being alive and being natural and being loving and being kind and all of that in any kind of context because of protocol. So like, for instance, I'm in this public partition, supposed to be serious, supposed to behave in a certain way, etc. And if we really just allow ourselves to be our natural selves, no matter who we are interacting with, and then that person lit up. And now imagine the benefit for all of the other people that came to sit at his desk the rest of the day. I mean, the consequence is far reaching, way beyond what we can imagine. I don't know how many doors he opened for people that maybe he wouldn't have if he were in another kind of mood. So, I sometimes find that in spiritual contexts, people tend to want to go against the system by being angry at the system, and somehow never allowing this space for the system to work for us. So, like, the system doesn't need to be a stale, institutionalized thing that is inflexible, because the institution is made up of people. And
Yes.
once we interact with people as unique beings with unique qualities, and we honor each interaction, each human being, and we feel grateful for that interaction, for the pleasure of being in the presence of this special, unique human being, no matter who it seems to be, no matter what
Yes.
preconceived ideas we have about how things work in this department or that department or whatever. If we just throw all of that in the bin and start afresh and start anew, we can actually effect a lot of change from within these institutions, not only to benefit ourselves, obviously, but to benefit everyone.
Yes.
So it's all about removing the veils of separation no matter what. And I really firmly believe that no matter how bent um, public institutions are and all of that, I believe that they work with us
Mhm.
when we allow ourselves to receive that. So basically, anything can work in our favor when we are coming from our integrity. What does integrity mean? Really, it means wholeness. What does that mean? It means not being separate. What does that mean? It means being in compassion. So it all boils down to that. So if I come to a place where everyone is in a bad mood, like you come to, whatever public department, and you look around and everyone has these gray faces because they're bored stiff, they're sick of their jobs, they don't want to be there. There's a lot of paperwork every day, it's not easy. And if we can approach these people as human beings, not like, this is the person that works at this department. No, this is a person that has qualities, that has dreams, just
Yeah.
like us, that has a heart, that does have kindness. Because I do believe that even in the hardest situations, if we can create a connection, it will bring something about, even if it's momentarily, but it will bring that kindness up from somewhere, wherever it's hiding, if it's someone that has it hiding very well. Because the other day, my mom was saying, humans are bad, and life is really hard. And I just kept quiet, but I was feeling so strongly for myself. Wow, I'm really happy because that is no longer my truth.
Yes.
I really firmly and honestly believe that kindness is intrinsic to humans. No matter
Yes.
what the hell the experience are that they're going through and that they're creating, and no matter who it is that is creating havoc in the world, there it is there. It is there by default.
Mhm.
Basically, our default mode for me is not separation,
Mhm.
because all of us, no matter who it is, um, like connectedness and cooperation. No matter who it was, actually, what distorts human beings is the lack of connection,
Mhm.
the sense of abandonment that all human beings go through, one way or another, more intensely, less intensely, whatever, comes from the lack of connection, of sense of connection, of being in cooperation. So I really do find that, wow, when you nurture yourself, when you really take care of yourself and you don't go off the border, getting tired, getting overworked, getting overstressed, being under pressure, all of these things, when you take care of not allowing that to happen in your life, and as I do in mine, I notice that even the people that seem more rigid, we just exchange a few words and the smile shows up. And then they soften. And then they want to stay longer. And then they just want to have a bit of small talk just because it feels good to be here now in that moment. And to forget about all of the stress and the pressure and all of the stuff that they're usually living. And so the effect we can have on our environment is truly and purely magical when we allow ourselves to live in that magic. And that magic is something so simple. It all boils down to being in compassion all the time.
Yes. So I'd like to add to this because this is beautiful. So you begin this journey and you're one of those fear-ridden people, so constricted energetically, mentally, emotionally, because you're in survival mode. But as you begin to do this journey and you begin to breathe and you begin to experience this other reality and you learn to put your arms around yourself, take care of yourself, not overwork yourself, see yourself from the compassionate glasses of your soul, this whole energy experiences changes within yourself. Thus, when you are out with others and they are in that mode of fear and survival, it's like we splash our energy all over them. Not intentionally, it's just who
No,
we
it's
are.
just a natural thing. Mm-hmm.
No, because
No effort.
our souls are so big, and as we become this awakened human, then the soul energy and the human energy becomes so massive that it touches individuals. And so they do shift with us. I watch it all the time because I don't need someone else to be different. I see them as this miraculous human being. My heart overflows with love for them. I mean, I'll sit with a person and I'll go, I just love you. Yeah, but you don't even know me yet. Well, I understand that, but I love you. Well, I don't understand how you could love me. And I just laugh and I go, well, if you can just maybe trust it a teeny bit,
Yeah.
because this energy has no requirements to love, has no need. It is compassion. And the love that we human beings are taught is a love that's manipulative, needy, is so limited, but authentic soul love is this compassion that is a constant energy. It never ends. It's constant. So when I had this experience with my son, I was able to step back and go, okay, now what happened here? And I breathed. There wasn't a need to judge. I loved me. I loved him. When I meet someone brand new and I watch them go from to, I just giggle inside because you see, I watch that with Norma all the time. A whole room full of 400 people could become so connected to her energy that they would take a breath. And that I have my favorite picture of her on my website, and she is standing there smiling at Garrett, and Rupert took the picture, and how? Don't know, but he captured her soul moving out and touching Garrett. And what's remarkable on this picture is her face is this way, and yet her soul energy, and you can actually see her face in the soul energy of her touching Garrett. It is remarkable. But that's what we do. We move out because we're in joy and we touch another person. Do we do it intentionally? No, it's because it's who we are. This is the magic. So every word, thought, and deed that you have said, we think, we create. And we get to create it from a place of love because we've done all the work of making decisions. Yes, I will accept that I love to fight. Yes, I will accept that I love numb. Yes, I will accept this circumstance that I've had so much judgment around. And each choice layers itself one on top of the other, feeding us, filling us, building our confidence, our strength, our inner knowingness until we're transformed. You did it very quickly. I'm doing it more gently because I had a lot more massive, hard energy to move through physically. But each person gets to do it in their own remarkable way, a breath at a time, a moment at a time. Can you do it with no plan just because you love you? Wow. When Norma would say that to me, could you just breathe because you love you? And I was going, I'm doing this good. I'm doing it right. I'm going to figure this out. And she would just smile at me and she'd go, could you just breathe because you love you? And it was like she was speaking French to me, which I don't understand that language at all. So today I can laugh at myself because I worked so hard. You know? Do you want to add anything, Tanya? Oh my goodness, I think she's frozen again. Yeah. So this is an example of being in the moment. Can we play with the irregularity of the internet? So in that moment, when I ask that question, do you notice how you feel? If your answer is no, this is aggravating, that's one response. For me, it's yes, I can laugh. I can be with the truth that our internet is having a problem today and go with the flow. Breathe. Have no plan. No idea what's going to come in the next moment. This is the part that is the trust. Can I trust that Tanya will come back onto the show in a moment or two? Or not? Will I survive? Yes. You see, I didn't know that for the very long time. I always thought I'd die. But that was based because I was so fear-ridden that I saw everything through such a mode of survival, life and death, that there was not an easiness. Thank you. I read that good to have Serena as a solo host. You know, as we discover the love that's been dwelling within us, this compassion that lives within each of us, it's our special energy. Take a breath. Open the door to that energy within you. Even if you don't feel it right now, open the door and choose to allow it. Tell your soul you want to feel it even more. Every time on my journey when I thought, I can't do this another moment, it's too hard, I'm tired, I would tell my soul, fill me with your compassion, your strength, the willingness to see this from a different perspective because I am so angry at myself. Whatever I needed. And as I kept breathing, I felt that energy fill me. Now I'm not saying kept breathing for 5 minutes I'm talking about kept breathing until I felt a shift. Sometimes that took a long time. And I know I can hear you thinking, yes, but I have to go to work, or I'm busy, I have this to do. You can always breathe while you do things. If you choose to stay with the breath, because that is your first and primary focus, you can still do your job. You can still show up in your life. You can still drive. You can do whatever it needs to be. But you breathe because you love you. Because you choose to set you free from this wealth of compassion that lives in your physicality in the core of you. And as you drop deeper and deeper into the breath, outside of this, that has a plan of how to do it, and you just keep this energy of yes, yes, with no other words connected to it, no other thought or energy. Yes. See, Tanya's back again. And that would have scared me in the past. I was sharing with them how I would go, oh my God, I've got to figure this out. And now it's, oh well.
Perfectly fine.
Yes, this is the miracle of breath, how powerful it is.
Yeah.
I was sharing with the audience that even if you are aware that you are really fearful, stuck with a fear, and you're at work where you can't go away and do breathing, you choose to breathe and you keep your focus with your breath coming in and out through your nose as you're counting money, working at the computer, boxing groceries, whatever your job is. But your first primary conscious choice is, I am going to breathe, even though I'm coming out of my skin, even though I feel like I'm going to die, whatever the emotions are, because the emotions are memory, you breathe. That is you as the empowered human. I promise it works because I'm living proof that it does.
Totally.
Yep, yep.
Totally.
And seriously, this thing with the internet would have freaked me out maybe a year ago. It doesn't
You know,
anymore.
the beautiful thing is once you really come into the deep trust within you,
Yes.
nothing freaks us out. Nothing. Like now the internet just went and I just stayed, just waiting.
Yeah, I sent a comment to you and I go, oh, I think she's frozen again because you were smiling. You were
Yeah.
just smiling.
Well, I did keep on smiling anyway, just waiting for the thing to work again.
Oh, wow.
Because, yeah, what's the point, right? The internet connection went off. There's no point doing anything about it because I've done what I could do about it already. So I just enjoy the moment, whatever is happening.
Yes. And to innocent games, I would love to have a session with you, sweetie. Yes. Because I see, because they wrote, good to have Serena as a solo host. So they were playing with me, and then I will book a
Yes.
session with you, Serena, to know you more.
Right. Right. Perfect. Kim, this is Kim.
Oh, okay, Kim. Great. I look forward
Fantastic.
to it. Yes, that's the beauty of my job is I can sign in and out of my job, do a private session no matter where the person is all over the world, and then go
Yeah.
back to my job. And yeah, the ease that life becomes, it's so smooth. It's like butter, It's like,
That's it.
wow.
Yeah, it's yummy.
Yeah.
It's smooth. It flows. It's really allowing this simplicity. No matter what happens, no matter what
Yes.
happens, It's allowing this simplicity, is knowing that everything is in perfect order, no matter what it
And
seems to be.
when you're a fear driven person and you hear that, your instant reaction is that's BS. You're angry. It's like, how can you say that? You
Yeah,
know, the
yeah,
truth is, when you come out of the game of duality and you have this core of trust that you've connected to, of compassion, you know beyond this limited mind, it really is true, Tanya. Everything is perfect.
yeah,
It takes a load off the back, it takes a load out of fear. You're no longer gripped in that terror anymore.
yeah. And honestly and truly, both of us, both you and I, have experienced repeatedly that even in the most seemingly hard situations, things flow naturally. I remember when you came in February, that, and so I'm gonna use that example about the plane, that you, when you lost the plane,
Yeah.
remember?
Yep.
And then, and I had a load of stuff to take care of at the time.
When
Remember?
you say lost the plane, meaning I missed my flight at
Yes,
Lisboa Airport. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's not like you had the plane in your pocket and
No.
then you didn't know where it was anymore. Language, language.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so you missed your flight, and then you called like you were in a panic in that moment.
Uh-huh.
It's like, "Oh my god, what am I going to do?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I got all of this stuff to do. I can't go and pick you
Hmm.
up at the airport and whatever." And I remember I took a deep breath and I felt in my heart, okay, so, if absolutely necessary, we can. No, no, no. You are not to do anything.
No rescuing.
You are to allow Serena to do whatever she needs to do to realize she is totally capable
Yes.
and everything is serving her with love. And remember, when the moment you shifted, so at the beginning, no one was giving you information,
Yeah.
etc. It
Yeah.
seemed like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm lost here in this airport in a town I don't know, and now what? And the plane is only tomorrow morning, and whatever. Remember? And then the moment I said, I can't go,
Hmm.
then immediately you came out of that. Someone is gonna rescue me, and
Yeah.
you went into, okay,
I
I
need to
have to
breathe.
allow the solution.
I have to breathe was the first piece.
Right.
Come out of
Exactly.
panic, come out of
Exactly.
the deer in the headlights and go, okay, I'm alive. Because I have to remind myself of that. Because if a trigger does come up where, and I'm in that life and death mode, I go, okay, wait a minute. I'm not going to die. I'm safe. Even
Yeah.
if I have to sleep in the airport, which I didn't want to do to myself. So it was like, okay, I'm safe. Yeah. And that allowed me to create a solution. And when you texted me and you go, well, you got what you wanted. You didn't want to leave Portugal.
Yeah, because the thing is, you manifested the exact perfect thing, because that's exactly what you wanted.
Yes, yes. And so, every single time I fall down and skin my knee and get back up, so to speak, that builds. It's that building one breath at a time, because I could have chosen to stay in panic, but I chose to not stay in panic, take a breath because I love me. Okay. And that means I stop and I do nothing and I just let me breathe. Because you know what? It's the greatest. It's like putting my arms around me and saying, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Totally.
Okay. What an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. And these things are just, you know, they happen in everyone's lives.
Yes.
Everyone has I had a situation last week. So a friend, um, all of a sudden, like Joanna and I had been dreaming about going on a camper van ride for years. And so then, in conversation with the guy that comes here with the tractor to clean the grass, and he's become a good friend, as I say, because of these conversations that happen, and we were talking about camper vans, and he said, "Oh, I've got one, a really, but it's bigger than Pedro's, our other friend that's got a camper van." And I said, "Well, oh wow, and do you rent it?" And he said, "Well, I can because you're my friend, so yeah, I could." So then I'm like, "Oh my god, wow, right." So then he just, he said 40 euros or 50 euros, whatever, just because we're friends.
Wait for
And so
me.
wait. And so wait a minute. No, but wait a minute. This has shifted. So
Okay.
then what happened? It's huge. It was huge. And we said, so last weekend, not this weekend, the one before, Joanna and I went in the camper van down to a really peaceful place by the river.
Mhm.
But the thing is, this is such a huge vehicle that it takes a little bit time to adjust. And so, well, we spent a wonderful few days. It was really peaceful, really magical, really beautiful. But on the way, I scraped the car. And, and I'm like, it was on the way down. So, or the first day, the GPS sent me in through a silly street, which I wouldn't have gone. And then there were cars on the side, and I just, I scraped the car. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I stopped. The person wasn't in the car. The car was parked. I left my phone number, and we moved on. Then I'm like, Jesus, this is so strange that, I feel so it's okay. Like there was no worry whatsoever around, okay, I scraped the car. Whatever. But of course, I left my number, so I was okay with it. The lady, or now I know it's a lady. At the time, I didn't know it was a lady, right? Because it was just a car parked there. But so now I know it's a lady. She didn't call me that day. She didn't call me the following day. She didn't call me the other day. And I'm like, what the hell? Why isn't she calling me? But well, I was really happy, right? Like maybe, maybe it's not an issue, or maybe the scrape wasn't that bad or so. Whatever. But I was just totally fine with it, and the van didn't suffer any damage.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but when I left the van with the owner and he was putting it in the garage, he found out that the top lid had flown away. So somehow I must have scraped a tree or something or whatever. I don't know. But he had an extra one at home. So he says, no worries, because I've got this extra one here and it's not a problem. So I'm okay. Oh my God. So scrape the car, the top lid flew off. So, okay. Then the lady calls me 4 days later. And she says, oh, I didn't call you because I've been really sick. So apparently she'd been, I don't know, she had a bad cold or flu or whatever. Anyway. I'm so thankful that you left your phone number and so on and so I'm gonna see, I'm gonna take the car. What do you intend to do? I said, well, I intend to pay for the damage, whatever. So just go and have a look. But do you want to take it to a mechanic that you know? No, I don't live there. I live 250 kilometers away. So you have to take it to someone you trust. And then okay. Then 2 or 3, she's not in a rush. Funny thing, 2 or 3 days later, she calls me again. Well, I'm at the mechanic here, and he's a really honest guy, and so on. and there was this plastic piece that broke on the side, but he was gonna glue it. They weren't gonna order a new one because it was just really easy to put on. But the problem was the scrape, and the scrape needed 4 or 5 parts of the car needed to be repainted, because these scrapes that go through more than one, and then it's nothing,
Yes.
but it is. And so he says, like, it's around 500 euros.
Wow.
And I heard 500 euro. Okay. Oh, well, this was an expensive holiday. But anyway, let's imagine that we traveled by plane and stayed at a 5-star hotel.
Oh my God.
For 2 nights. And so it would have been the same amount, I told to myself. And the lady says, yeah, said, well, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And and the man was saying, yeah, but why don't you speak to the insurance? And then I said, but the car isn't mine. The van wasn't mine, so it's not my insurance. And so, but wait a minute, I'll of course I wasn't gonna say I'll breathe.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, so just a few moments later, I just sent her a message. Said, no, I'm not gonna make this man's insurance get more expensive because of something I did. I mean, it's my thing. I pay for it. Whatever. Just send me your account number. I'll send you half, and then when it's repaired, I'll send you the rest. It's fine. It's okay. Now the lady took another 5 days or 4 days, because this was the other weekend, and she called me yesterday again after that day. So what happened? She'd gotten worse again. So she got even more ill after we spoke, and then now she called and she was, oh, but are you sure about that? I said, yes, I'm not going to make someone else's insurance get more expensive because of something I did. And well, but I'll still find out another. So this lady is really, really, she's worried about me having to pay that amount, because it's like she almost feels like, oh my God, I wish you didn't have to pay this.
Yes.
And
she's a rescuer, isn't she?
Right. And I'm like, oh, whatever, it's not like I'm swimming in dollars, but I mean, if I've done something that I need to repair, it's like that. And so it's not like stuff doesn't happen. Like, yeah, we went on a wonderful weekend. We had some wonderful days, and those days were wonderful. And I have not let anything ruin the beauty of those days. Nothing has ruined the beauty of those days. They were beautiful anyway, and now I have a 500 euro bill to pay. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. So it's this knowingness that whatever happens, it's just part of the journey. Like, yeah, you scrape your knee, you scrape the car, then you have to take care of it, and that's just the way things go, and it's okay. And I could go into whatever, worry, frustration, anger, whatever, but
no,
but it just doesn't make sense to go into absolutely anything like that. And bottom line is, I decided next time I don't want such a big camper van.
Yeah, because the streets in Portugal are not huge.
Right. So I decided, like, after all, with the expense of the petrol, because it's got a huge tank, and it spends a lot more than a regular car. And even though this guy was really, like, he almost offered us the van for free, basically. But anyway, with all of the expense, it's more practical to just take your car, rent a place, and whatever. Or take a smaller camper van that doesn't scrape cars. Oh, but it was so much fun. I'm telling you, driving this big wheel, like big.
See, that's been one of my dreams too, is drive all over the United States with a huge, we call it a motorhome, but yes. Oh my God.
It was so much fun,
Yeah.
And everything that happens along the journey is just part of the journey. It's just
Mhm.
normal and natural living.
Yes.
So, just to share that it really doesn't matter what it is, what the nature of whatever happens is, that it could lead you to panic and frantic, or you could just stay in gratitude and enjoyment and love. And like, so this lady, she, even on the phone, likes me already so much that she wanted to make it better in
Yeah.
another way. But I said, no, look, I just have to pay it. That's the way it is.
And that energy that you are will create more abundance. So you don't have to
Oh,
be
for sure.
afraid,
I don't care about, that's the point. That's
you
the point.
know? So
It's
it's when
totally
you,
not about the numbers, you know?
no, when you get out of this and you keep coming back to take a breath, open, allow, trust, it truly changes things. But my dear
Totally.
sister, I have to go to the bank.
We both have to go and do other stuff. I am gonna very merrily put my swimsuit on and wash some really dirty carpets right now and have a lot of fun.
You know, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be lots of fun, and especially after when they're nice and smelling,
Mm,
perfumed, and yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun washing carpets.
So thank you, Kim, for joining us, and S. Bexler. You know, it's always a joy. And for anyone who listens to this afterward, just keep breathing, keep allowing, choosing yes. The rest will unfold naturally. It really will.
I love the way you said that, Serena. So beautiful. So beautiful. Just keep
Yeah,
breathing.
just keep breathing.
Yeah. Thank you to
Oh,
every single one of you.
yep.
Thank you very, very much for being here now or whatever, because time is not really a limitation.
No,
So, see you next month on the 7th of July,
July. All right.
and we will have some more fun together.